So you want to make some trendy and aesthetic memes that fit your brand that are going to be super shareable to post on your Instagram feed. But you might not be sure how to start or how to make them. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 different types of popular memes and how to make them yourself so that you can start going viral on Instagram. Hey, if you are new to my channel, my name is Katie Steckly, and here on YouTube, I love to share my best tips and advice about social media marketing and creative entrepreneurship. The first aesthetic meme that I'm going to show you how to make is the branded tweet, just like this. Now, of course, you could actually go and write a tweet and screen capture it and then post that to your Instagram feed. But I personally think taking a more creative route is going to produce a better result that is going to be more likely to be shared by your followers on Instagram. For this tip and throughout this video, I'm going to show you how I personally actually make these graphics for myself, and I primarily use Photoshop and Premiere Pro to create content for the internet. But if you want to use Canva or iMovie, or even a lot of this stuff can be done within Instagram Stories itself, then totally do that. The purpose of this video is to show you my processes and to give you some ideas, but just know that a lot of this stuff can be very easily replicated in free programs that you can find online, and you don't necessarily need Photoshop. I created a template for myself so that all I have to do is change the text every time I want to post a new graphic like this, but I'm going to walk you through all the components so you can make it for yourself. The first thing you need to do is create a white box that is going to be your text background. I like doing this with rounded corners, but it's totally up to your own preference. Once you've got the white box as a background, you're going to want to add a profile picture. I just dragged my photo in and I cropped it so that it would be a circle. And next to it, I put my name and my @username below it in smaller and lighter font. Finally, I wrote out whatever I wanted my tweet to be and put it below. Then I adjusted the white box to be the right size to capture the entire tweet. Finally, we're going to add a branded background that suits whatever the vibe of your Instagram is. This is where the aesthetic part comes in, because you want it to look good with the rest of your feed. So whatever colors you wear a lot, or colors that you edit to really pop in your presets, those are the colors that you're going to want to use for your background. So if you don't already have brand colors established, just take a look at your feed and kind of figure out what colors stand out the most to you. For me, obviously, it's a lot of white and gray, which you can probably tell in this video, with some pops of green and teal. Here's the teal. So I made my background 2 triangles, one that was gray and one that's lighter gray, because I personally like the 2-tone background. I think it gives it a little bit more visual interest than just a plain color. But you could do an ombre, you could do some kind of pattern. Whatever suits your brand, that's what you can make your background. Finally, you're going to want to make sure that this entire composition's dimensions are right for Instagram. So if you want it to be a square, it should be 1080 by 1080 pixels. If you want it to be like a vertical portrait style, then it should be 1080 by 1350. Finally, you can save it as a JPEG and either airdrop it to your phone or add it to your content scheduler, and it's ready to post. The second aesthetic meme I'm going to show you how to do is the Tumblr text post, again, with some kind of patterned background that suits your feed. This is a super common one that I see all the time, and some of y'all probably don't even realize that these are from Tumblr. I recognize it because of many late nights and long hours spent on Tumblr as a cringy teenager, back when people were actually on that website and not just using it for these memes. This is very similar to the tweet. What you're going to want to do is get a white background to put your text in front of. You're going to want to use a pretty basic like sans serif font. I think Arial is pretty typical to the Tumblr posts. I'm going to add a little bit of a gray bar on the left-hand side to give it that quote text sort of indentation that is pretty typical of text that has been stolen from a Tumblr post. Once I have my text all set up, I'm gonna go ahead and check out a couple websites for some free stock photos that I could use as a nice texture or branded background for these quotes. I love using unsplash.com or pexels.com. I'll link those both in the description. They're full of really beautiful stock imagery that you can use for free. So I'm going to go ahead and find one that has a cool textured background that I feel like suits my brand. You can find this simply by searching stuff like clouds, sky, or like sunflowers or banana leaf, like whatever really suits your brand, just search that and you're going to get a ton of results that are related to it, and just find one that sort of doesn't really have a subject and is more a consistent background. Finally, you're going to want to add your username somewhere on this, maybe over the textured background or over the white box, wherever it stands out the most. I like to make it like half or like 50% opacity so that it's not super obvious, but also if the post gets shared, people know where it came from. And again, you're going to make sure that it is 1080 by 1080 or 1080 by 1350, depending on what dimensions you're looking for. Save it as a JPEG, and it's ready to go in the feed. The third style of aesthetic meme is digital illustration or doodles. Now, I know this one can seem really intimidating because for a lot of us, we're like, oh, I'm not very good at drawing, or, I've never tried that before. But know that just like graphic design, which is really what I'm teaching you throughout this video, digital illustration is a whole skill set of its own, and it takes practice, but the upside is it's really fun. Personally, I've been teaching myself how to use Procreate on the iPad, and it's been a great new creative outlet for me that is a little bit different than video making, photography, or graphic design. And so it feels a little bit like a hobby, but I also get to use what I make in my Instagram content. Here are some examples of things that you can make when you're practicing, and know that this is me starting with Procreate, like literally less than like a week of practice. So you can trace existing photographs, you can follow YouTube tutorials. There's so many ways that you can start learning how to do it and produce some pretty cute stuff. Again, I would encourage you to use your brand colors, use stuff that's going to suit your feed. I think this is a really fun and creative way to communicate a message to your audience and to represent your brand visually. So totally worth taking the time to learn how to do this in one way or another. And you don't need an iPad and Procreate to do this. If you want to be really creative and bootstrap this, you could even try doodling in Instagram stories with just the pencil or the marker tool. Or you could get out plain old pen and paper and do it physically and then take a photo of it. You can adjust a lot of the settings using an app like Lightroom Mobile or ViscoCam to up the contrast and the brightness and the whites to make it look a little bit more polished than just a photo of a drawing that you did physically. Either way, doodles and illustrations like this are a big trend on Instagram nowadays, so start thinking about ways that you could incorporate that into your own content strategy. The fourth aesthetic meme that I'm going to show you how to make is the reaction GIF with a text caption. So you're going to want to start this process by finding a GIF that you think you can write a relatable caption for. The really important part of this whole process is finding something that not only is your audience going to relate to, but also some kind of text caption that is going to be funny, relatable, something worth sharing, right? It has to be not too obvious, but also not too difficult to understand. And ideally, the visual part, like the actual GIF, is going to be something recognizable or humorous to your audience as well. The hardest part of this, honestly, is not the technical side. It's the strategy of figuring out what are people going to find funny. Like, I really think that meme creation in this sense is a skill. It's a talent. It's knowing what is going to strike somebody's funny bone. What are people going to find clever? What's going to be relatable? So really take some time thinking about that before you start creating it. Once you found a GIF that you think you can write a good caption for, maybe from Giphy.com. There's a huge library there. You're going to save it to your computer, and then you're going to open up a new Premiere Pro project or with whatever video editor you want to use. I'm going to create a color matte, just like a white background, and I'm going to drag that into my timeline, and I'm going to make sure that my sequence settings are 1080 by 1080 so that I actually have a square video at the end of this. See, the thing is, you can't just upload a GIF to Instagram. You need to make it into a video that is going to loop in somebody's feed. Of course, you can post GIFs to your Instagram stories. That is definitely possible, and there's a lot of different fun ways to do that. But if you want to post it to your feed, you're going to need to turn it into a video by importing it into Premiere Pro or iMovie or whatever it is you want to use. Once I've got my white background, I'm going to bring my GIF in, and I'm actually going to repeat it several times, so the video is like around 30 seconds long or so. Of course, this repetition is not going to be noticeable because it's just going to repeat infinitely. If you're watching it, you're not going to tell the difference of when it loops from the beginning to the end because it's a GIF. That's how they work. Finally, I'm just going to make a text box either above or below, wherever I think looks cute, and I'm going to write a little caption or description that's going to be relatable to my audience. Final step is writing your username, probably like in a light gray or something that's not too obnoxious, but also is like, hey, I made this, and then I'm gonna export this as an MP4, which then I can airdrop to my phone or upload to my content scheduler to get it on my feed. Finally, the fifth type of meme you can make is the photo pop culture reference meme. These ones are super successful and they are really, really easy to make. You can do this in Instagram stories or Canva, Photoshop, whatever you prefer. Again, with this one, it is so important that you kind of understand your audience and what kind of pop culture references they're into, what are they gonna find funny. That is the most important part of this. Once you have that down, the technical side is easy. So let's say you find a screen capture from a popular movie or a TV show, or even just a funny photo of celebrities. It's really important that whatever kind of image you're using, there's some kind of strong emotion or reaction being portrayed. There's something about the image that tells a story. If you're looking for inspiration, I would suggest just Googling like funny photos of celebrities 2020, and you'll find these listicles from honestly kind of trashy sites, but it'll be funny paparazzi photos of, like Sophie Turner being like at a basketball game or whatever. Maybe in there somewhere you'll find a photo that you could add a good caption to that's gonna be relatable to your audience. Once you've got your photo selected, you can actually just upload it into Instagram stories, and then you can use the text tool to add little captions where it's like, me when I see my engagement went up, or I don't know. You can tell in the education space it's a bit harder to come up with funny stuff sometimes, but depending on your niche, there'll be some really clear memes that you could make. Add the text labels to the appropriate parts of your image. You can save it to your camera roll, and then inside your camera roll, you can actually edit it to turn it into a square or something that's portrait. Or of course, you can just upload it straight into Instagram and see what the cropping looks like, because of course it's not gonna be the full vertical that you'll have in Instagram stories. It'll be slightly shorter. So make sure that your text is gonna be within that square or like smaller rectangle that is eventually going to make it to the feed. Of course, you can do this in Photoshop too if you want to add your own custom font. It's very straightforward, just uploading the image, adding your little text labels, and then saving it as a JPEG. Now that you've got tons of super fun content ideas that you are just ready to make happen and make go viral, it's important that you have a really solid content calendar and strategy to make posting all of this content worthwhile. If you want to learn more about building a content calendar and get my free content calendar template, head over to this video. I promise you're going to find it super valuable. But before you head over there, make sure you hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss any of my future videos. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you over in this one. Bye!